Please follow through the story closely. You are John, a newly promoted audit partner in a mid-sized audit firm. It's an open secret that Catherine, the managing partner, has earmarked you to be her successor when she retires.
Hi, John. Mr. Dan, the chairman of KS Private Limited, has arrived. He is now in the meeting room.
Thanks, Joey. I will be there in a short while.
Moments later in the meeting room.
Hi. Before I start this meeting, I would like to thank you for making your way down for this urgent meeting that I called for.
No problem. May I know what this is about?
As you would recall, I had previously agreed with your assertion that the $1.5 million owed by Express Limited was collectible. However, due to current developments, it's impractical.
We had discussed this previously, and you had agreed that it was collectible. Is it arising from Express Limited's liquidation?
I am afraid so, as it was widely reported that Express Limited is facing financial difficulties and had been recently put on compulsory liquidation. It is no longer likely that the $1.5 million owed by Express Limited will still be collectible. An allowance for doubtful debt will need to be made. In the worst case scenario, the entire debt will need to be written off.
That will also cause my company's account to be adjusted downwards, which will lead to us breaching certain debt-to-equity ratio imposed by the bank. This would cause a liquidity issue. In the worst case scenario, we may even need to shut KS Private Limited down. Jobs are going to be lost. John, are you sure this is an issue in the first place? I had called the liquidator of Express Limited, and he had assured me that the debt will be repaid in due course. I can even issue you a formal letter to confirm my understanding.
Mr. Dan, based on my understanding, I am not sure if the full amount would be collected. An allowance would still be required.
So regardless, an allowance for doubtful debt would still have to be made. John, you have been auditing us since you joined your firm after graduation. You have become a good friend to us. I had even asked Catherine to let you take over from her to be our auditor, now that she is retiring soon. Would you like to see your friend suffer?
Now let's review and understand the learning points from this case study. First, there could be a self-interest threat, as KS Limited was a major client of John's audit firm. And second, there could also be a familiarity threat, since John had audited KS Limited for a very long time and Mr. Tan had regarded John as a friend. In spite of the threats, John exercised professional skepticism. He did not accept Mr. Tan's claims that most of KS Private Limited's debts from Express Limited were collectible at face value. So, what should John do next? As a follow-up, John should contact the liquidator of Express Limited to have a better idea of how much could be recovered. He should also propose the necessary adjustments to KS Private Limited's financial statements if the liquidator reverts that Express Limited is unable to repay KS Private Limited.
इसका second भी शुरू करो.
You have some.
It was just a careless mistake. Please follow through the story closely. You are David, the finance director in the company.
Finally, I'm done with the review. Ah, Linda, what is the matter?
David, I would like to report that one of our major customers, Super Private Limited, has just returned to us most of the shipment of goods delivered to them towards the end of Q4 in the last financial year. The total sum of the goods returned is $4.5 million.
$4.5 million? That's going to bring down the sales performance. Okay, thanks for informing me. I will need to inform the sales director.
Okay, I will make the required adjustments for your review.
David, what is the matter?
Johnny, Listen, Super Private Limited just returned a large amount of goods. It's 4.5 million.
About that, I can explain. My staff made a careless mistake. He shipped 50,000 units instead of 5,000 units.
I will need to adjust the sales figure downwards by $4.5 million then.
Can you wait till January before putting through the sales adjustment instead of putting it through in December? It was just a careless mistake and everybody is looking forward to the bonus from our good sales performance.
I am afraid not.
David, please, you know how this adjustment will affect our sales performance. All our bonuses will be badly affected.
My bonus will be affected too, but the accounts should always be true and fair.
I have already reprimanded my staff and the matter is closed. Do not insist on adjusting the numbers and make everyone suffer because of it. We can speak to the CEO.
Now let's review and understand the learning points from this case study. First, there could be a self-interest threat, since the potential adjustment would lower bonuses. Second, there could also be an intimidation threat, as Johnny said he would escalate the issue to the CEO after David insisted on making the adjustment. David insisted on making the adjustment to the sales in the correct financial period, even though this would lower his bonus. If Johnny gets the CEO to apply pressure on David, David may consider consulting the audit committee or those charged with governance. In the worst case, David may have to consider resigning to disassociate himself from the unadjusted financial statements, which would contain misleading financial information.
Okay, I think this case was much clearer. So the order which was placed by mistake, they have placed more order and the entire goods were written by the company, which has made them to suffer about $4.5 million of rupees of loss. And the employees were asking for the bonus because of this increased sale and sales performance was shown to be very much on the higher side, but because of the return of the goods, that has come down to drastically, and which will definitely in effect reduce the bonus amount to be paid to the employees. So what the sales manager John, I guess, he was asking to the accounts manager to make the adjustment in the accounting, which is absolutely an unethical thing to do at the finance managerial level. That was what I understood from this case. Next one, after finance. And copy paste उसको ऊपर करो. This is in marketing, I guess, right? Start from the first.
This resulted in
Right from the start. This is a case of
Coca-Cola case study, analysis of organizational behavior. Coca-Cola is the world's leading beverage brand. It was founded in 29 January 1892, Georgia, USA, and has been serving the world for almost 130 years. But the company is facing a downtrend in the growth of its brand value in recent years. Hello and welcome to another video by Total Assignment Help. In this video, we will have a look at why Coca-Cola has struggled to capture the market after expansion to the island country of Sri Lanka. Various strategies using which the company can better utilize their human capital to prosper in the local markets. Identify the opportunities through which Coca-Cola can maximize growth. So let's dive right in. Since their expansion to Sri Lanka, the global beverage company had struggled to capture the market. The two main reasons for this are improper management of human resource and community backlash over contamination of a water body. On 17th August 2015, there was a mishap at the Coca-Cola plant which led to a leakage of diesel into a major Sri Lankan river. Although the management and authorities were quick to take corrective measures, they couldn't shield themselves from the community backlash. This affected company's reputation and ultimately their sales in the region. In addition, the inadequate workforce management was posing a bigger threat to the company. Let us look at the various issues within the Coca-Cola management. The first is improper communication. The corporate communication framework followed by Coca-Cola was flawed. The employees were not able to share their thoughts and opinions effectively with the management. Due to this, the workforce and the team leaders' mutual relationship suffers, and the company loses the opportunity to utilize innovative ideas. The next is feedback sharing. The managers and supervisors are unable to convey the job feedback to the employees effectively. This hinders the improvement of skills and increases dissatisfaction among the employees. Since human capital is an important asset for any company, Coca-Cola lost the number of employees, which reduced the rate of production and other important business operations. Third issue is with motivating the employees. Employee motivation plays an important role in the performance of the business. Coca-Cola Sri Lanka failed to properly motivate their staff with incentives and other employee motivation techniques. This resulted in low morale and employees showed less interest in improving performance. Then comes inadequate training and development modules. In order to meet the standards of the brand, the employees must undergo regular training and development for peak performance. However, Coca-Cola failed to utilize this important feature effectively in their organizational structure. As a result, the employee retention rate decreased and efficiency was reduced. The fifth organization issue is improper workforce management. Due to the shortage in workforce, the company collaborated with other firms with their bottling operations. This proved counterproductive as it created an unstable work environment, which led to more resignations. Thus, the lack of proper workforce management caused slowdown in performance. Next is leadership. Good leadership of the workforce is very important for better performance. The leadership at Coca-Cola Sri Lanka failed to identify the shortcomings in their organizational structure, and this led to a lot of problems in the production. The irresponsibility of team members and the management of the company have amplified the doubt among the subordinates. Another issue with organizational behavior is the management and staff relationship. The company management has failed to build lateral communication channels between the employees as well as the team leader inside the company premises. The management did not arrange meetings in order to discuss the problems of their staff as well as to find possible remedies to resolve those issues. And lastly, work environment. The management failed to create a healthy work environment that can encourage the employees to give their best output. The corporate situation created obstructions in building a professional relationship between the workers as well as the management of the organization. The employees failed to understand that their improvement was closely related to the success of the company. These issues cost a fortune to the company. Hence, an instant countermeasure, Coca-Cola Sri Lanka improved 3 strategies to effectively manage their workforce in the future. These are induction and communication program. An orientation program was established for new employees for their proper induction to the Coca-Cola workforce. This makes them feel valued and improves employee relations. Proper training and development of employees. With effective training and development modules, the employees will improve productivity and realize their role in the growth of the company. And the most important measure was feedback. Since employees had no way for conveying the problems faced by them, there was a dire need of establishing a way to hear their problems. The company set up regular meetings between managers, supervisors, and upper management to ensure that their issues were noticed and resolved. You can find all the information present in this video in the form of any academic article on our website from the link in the description. Before you leave, please give a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe to Total Assignment Help if you haven't already.
Well, I think there was no explanation needed. Most of the points were very clear. This was a case related to HR issues with the Coca-Cola company. In Sri Lankan affairs, they started newly in that country. So we'll go to next. Then maybe at the end I'll summarize. Just show that slide again once so that in written in the recording we'll get to know whether it's related to HR or marketing or not. burger murders production. Yeah. Copy paste it in the browser. ऊपर paste करो ऊपर. हाँ. This is related to production of a product. Should we start? Yes, sir.
A few years ago, you founded a company that manufactures meatless burgers. Your product is now sold in stores worldwide, but you've recently received awful news. 3 unrelated people in one city died after eating your burgers. The police concluded that a criminal targeted your brand, injecting poison into your product in at least 2 grocery stores. The culprit used an ultrafine instrument that left no trace on the packaging, making it impossible to determine which products were compromised. Your burgers were immediately removed from the 2 stores where the victims bought them. The deaths are headline news. The killer is still at large, and sales have plummeted. You must quickly develop a strategy to deal with the crisis. Your team comes up with 3 options. 1. Do nothing. 2. Pull the products from grocery stores citywide and destroy them. Or 3. Pull and destroy the product worldwide. Which do you choose? Your company lawyer explains that a recall is not required by law because the criminal is fully responsible. She recommends the first option, doing nothing, because recalling the product could look like an admission of fault. But is that the most ethical strategy? To gauge the ethicality of each choice, you could perform a stakeholder analysis. This would allow you to weigh the interests of some key stakeholders, investors, employees, and customers against one another. With the first option, your advisors project that the crisis will eventually blow over. Sales will then improve, but probably stay below prior levels because of damage to the brand. As a result, you'll have to lay off some employees, and investors will suffer minor losses. But more customers could die if the killer poisoned packages elsewhere. The second option is expensive in the short term and will require greater employee layoffs and additional financial loss to investors. But this option is safer for customers in the city and could create enough trust that sales will eventually rebound. The third option is the most expensive in the short term and will require significant employee layoffs and investor losses. Though you have no evidence that these crimes are an international threat, this option provides the greatest customer protection. Given the conflict between the interests of your customers versus those of your investors and employees, which strategy is the most ethical? To make this decision, you could consider these tests. First is the utilitarian test. Utilitarianism is a philosophy concerned with maximizing the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. What would be the impact of each option on these terms? Second is the family test. How would you feel explaining your decision to your family? Third is the newspaper test. How would you feel reading about it on the front page of the local newspaper? And finally, you could use the mentor test. If someone you admire were making this decision, what would they do? Johnson & Johnson's CEO, James Burke, faced a similar challenge in 1982 after a criminal added the poison cyanide to bottles of Tylenol in Chicago. 7 people died and sales dropped. Industry analysts said the company was done for. In response, Burke decided to pull Tylenol from all shelves worldwide, citing customer safety as the company's highest priority. Johnson & Johnson recalled and destroyed an estimated 32 million bottles of Tylenol, valued at $250 million in today's dollars. 1.5 million of the recalled bottles were tested, and 3 of them, all from the Chicago area, were found to contain cyanide. Berg's decision helped the company regain the trust of its customers, and product sales rebounded within a year. Prompted by the Tylenol murders, Johnson & Johnson became a leader in developing tamper-resistant packaging, and the government instituted stricter regulations. The killer, meanwhile, was never caught. Berg's decision prevented further deaths from the initial poisoning, but the federal government investigated hundreds of copycat tampering incidents involving other products in the following weeks. Could these have been prevented with a different response? Was Berg acting in the interest of the public or of his company? Was this good ethics or good marketing? As with all ethical dilemmas, this has no clear right or wrong answer. And for your meatless burger empire, the choice remains yours. Would you sacrifice one person to save 5? Unpack this famous ethical dilemma with our video on the trolley problem. Or learn how the efforts of one scientist at the FDA.
So this has got two cases, one was of a burger and another was a medical company. And it is very clearly explained. I don't think I need to speak on it. Next is on what area? It was like yeah, Cadbury worm case is known world over.
In the fourth quarter of 2003, just before the Deepavali festival, some television channels broadcasted breaking news about insects found in Cadbury's chocolates. The era of 24/7 news channels started around the turn of millennium. That was the first time that a food brand of this kind was in the news for the wrong reasons. With chocolate being a favorite among children and Cadbury being the market leader, the news caused widespread concern among parents. When the safety of a well-known food product is publicly questioned, the company may face a crisis. Consumers were deeply impacted and Cadbury's business suffered greatly as a result. Hey everyone, I welcome you to Fact Codes, a channel where we provide hard-hitting analysis of business case studies, health and spiritual related content. So if you find value in our content, then subscribe our channel, which gives us motivation to make better videos every time. So in today's topic, we are going to discuss how a multinational company, that is Cadbury, came out of this crisis. So did Cadbury's chocolates actually contain insects? Was a multinational company founded in England in 1824 no longer trustworthy? Let's find it out. Cadbury did not want to jeopardize consumer safety after being confronted with a major crisis. It wanted to protect itself from potential problems in its wholesale and retail supply chains. Previously, a Cadbury's Dairy Milk bar was wrapped in a foil that was not sealed. The unsealed foil wrap was packed inside and open on both sides paper. As a result, the product was left open to mischief and mishandling. Cadbury made the decision to redesign the packaging of all of its chocolate products. Following extensive deliberation, it was determined that metallic polyflow packaging would be the best option for protecting the product by completely sealing it. The consumers gave Cadbury another chance. Market studies indicated that consumers eventually considered the incident as a lapse and not an intentional betrayal of trust to harm consumers. Interestingly, public memory is short, especially for products that enjoy a strong emotional connect with target consumers. Cadbury's chocolate had been a favorite since 1948 when its products first became available in India. Nearly 2 decades later, few people recall Cadbury experiencing a crisis with its core and most popular product. However, in the current climate of risk management and crisis aversion, Cadbury's approach of addressing the crisis with a multi-pronged strategy deserves mention and emulation. Some marketing and public relation experts blame the company for ignoring the risk to product safety caused by inadequate packaging, which could have been addressed proactively much sooner. Avoiding a crisis with serious financial and brand ramifications. Is it desirable for business to take such avoidable risks until a crisis occurs? In fact, the best way to avoid crisis is to address potential risks ahead of time. This episode taught us that a food and beverage company's responsibility for product quality and safety does not end when the product leaves the factory. It lasts until the product is consumed by the end user. As a result, any gaps in product quality or consumer safety in the total value chain should be identified and proactively addressed by the company. And guys, I hope that you liked this amazing video on how Cadbury managed the 2003 crisis and how it became successful afterwards. Bye for now and meet you in next such amazing case study. Peace. Your growth means our success. Keep learning, keep growing.
You may be knowing this case, right? There was a go from Cadbury, they changed the entire packaging. And on the top of it, as far as our country is concerned, they have appointed Amitabh Bachchan as a celebrity endorsing the brand after this incident happened. And it has regained the marketplace. Similar kind of case happened with Maggie.
मैगी कंपनी की शुरुआत 1884 में स्विट्जरलैंड में जूलियस मैगी ने की थी। उनका एम था कि वर्कर्स की फैमिली के लिए फूड जल्दी से जल्दी पकाया जा सके और उसमें न्यूट्रिशनल इंटेक को भी इम्प्रूव किया जा सके। मैगी ने सबसे पहले मार्केट में प्रोटीन रिच मील्स को सेल करना शुरू किया और उसके बाद 1886 में रेडीमेड सूप सेल करना शुरू कर दिया। 1897 में जूलियस मैगी ने मैगी GmbH नाम की कंपनी का फाउंडेशन किया। बाद में इस कंपनी को 1947 में नेस्ले ने एक्वायर कर लिया। इंडियन मार्केट में मैगी को लॉन्च करने के लिए 2 मिनट मैगी का एम हमारी माँ की कन्वीनियंस को बढ़ाना था। कंपनी ने कैंपेन चलाया जिसमें ये दिखाया गया कि मैगी को सिर्फ 2 मिनट में पकाया जा सकता है। आओ मैगी बनाएं। और इस कैंपेन के थ्रू ये दिखाने की कोशिश की गई कि मैगी को बच्चे खुद बिना माँ की मदद के बना सकते हैं। 2001 तक मैगी इंडिया में नेस्ले का कोर ब्रांड बन चुका था, पर अब इंडिया में धीरे धीरे लोग हेल्थ कॉन्शियस होने लगे थे, जिसके लिए कंपनी ने टेस्ट भी और हेल्थ भी का कैंपेन चलाया और साथ में ही वेजिटेबल दाल आटा नूडल्स लॉन्च किया।
बन गई ना हेल्थ मजेदार, सिर्फ 2 मिनट में। न्यू मैगी ओट्स नूडल्स नेस्ले।
पर आटा नूडल्स इंडियन कंज्यूमर को इतने पसंद नहीं आए, इसीलिए मैगी ने बाद में इसे मार्केट से विड्रॉ कर दिया। मैगी का टेस्ट मेकर एक ट्रेड सीक्रेट है। 1000 करोड़ की नूडल मार्केट में धीरे धीरे दूसरे कॉम्पिटिटर जैसे ITC, HUL, पतंजलि मार्केट में घुसने लगे, पर फिर भी मैगी अपनी टेस्ट की वजह से सबके फेवरेट बन गई।
ताज़ा कुटे भुने मसालों की नई रेसिपी जिसे वो पैन में बॉईल होती मैगी में डालती हैं और पकता है नया मैगी स्पेशल मसाला।
मैगी ने इंडिया की रूरल मार्केट, जो एक बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है, बहुत ही वास्ट मार्केट है, पर बहुत ही प्राइस सेंसिटिव मार्केट है, इस मार्केट को भी कैप्चर करने के लिए कैंपेन चलाई, जिसके लिए मैगी कंपनी ने 5 रुपए की मैगी लॉन्च की। 2015 तक मैगी ने इंडिया की 60% नूडल मार्केट को कैप्चर कर लिया था।
मैगी देश के हर नुक्कड़ और कोने पर पाई जा रही थी। इसका कारण था मैगी नूडल्स का सस्ता होना, पोर्टेबल होना और इंस्टेंटली कुक कर लेना। पर 2015 में कुछ ऐसा हुआ जो कंपनी ने कभी सोचा भी नहीं होगा। 2015 में मैगी पर अस्थायी प्रतिबंध लगा दिया गया। फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया मतलब फिसाई ने अप्रैल 2015 में उत्तर प्रदेश के बाराबंकी प्लांट में सरप्राइज इंस्पेक्शन किया। सैंपल को फिसाई के लैब में भेजा गया और रिपोर्ट में परमिसिबल लेवल से भी हाई लेवल का लेड और मोनोसोडियम ग्लूटामेट पाया गया, जो कंज्यूमेबल आइटम्स में यूज करना मना था। नेस्ले इंडिया लिमिटेड ने इस रिपोर्ट के खिलाफ अपील की और कहा कि मोनोसोडियम ग्लूटामेट नेचुरल प्रोसेस की वजह से आया था। ये बात उनकी वेबसाइट पर भी मेंशन करी गई और कंपनी ने री इंस्पेक्शन के लिए रिक्वेस्ट किया। इस अपील के बाद सैंपल को कैलकाटा में गवर्नमेंट ऑथराइज्ड लैब में भेजा गया, जिसने फिसाई की लैबोरेटरी रिपोर्ट का ही समर्थन किया। इन रिपोर्टों के कारण हेल्थ कंसर्न की वजह से कई स्टेट्स में मैगी के सेल और उसके यूज पर बैन लगा दिया गया और 9 जून 2015 को फिसाई ने अगले 5 महीनों के लिए मैगी पर नेशन वाइड बैन लगा दिया। इस नेशन वाइड बैन के कारण नेस्ले ने भी अपने सभी आउटलेट से मैगी के प्रोडक्ट को वापस ले लिया और प्रॉमिस किया कि जैसे ही लैब की रिपोर्ट क्लियर होगी वैसे ही मैगी को दोबारा लॉन्च किया जाएगा। कंपनी ने लगभग 38 टन मैगी को, जो लगभग 320 करोड़ की थी, डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया। इस बैन के बाद मैगी के ब्रांड एम्बेसडर अमिताभ बच्चन, प्रीति जिंटा और माधुरी दीक्षित को ब्रांड को प्रमोट करने के लिए फटकार लगाई गई। उनके खिलाफ क्रिमिनल केस भी फाइल किए गए और अब इसका फायदा मैगी के जो दूसरे कॉम्पिटिटर थे उन्होंने उठाना शुरू कर दिया। टॉप रेमन, यिप्पी, पतंजलि नूडल्स ने अपने नूडल्स को हेल्दी कहकर सेल करना शुरू कर दिया और वो भी क्यों ना, मैगी का 60% मार्केट शेयर उनके लिए अब खुल गया था। साउथ इंडिया में भी गवर्नमेंट ने नेस्ले के अगेंस्ट केस फाइल किया और कंपनी के अगेंस्ट 640 करोड़ का डैमेज चार्ज किया। मैगी पर बैन लगने के बाद नेस्ले कंपनी ने 17 सालों में पहली बार लॉस बुक किया। लेकिन मैगी के लिए इससे भी बड़ी बात ये थी कि मैगी अपने कस्टमर का, अपने कंज्यूमर का ट्रस्ट, विश्वास खोती जा रही थी और दूसरे ब्रांड मार्केट को एग्रेसिवली कैप्चर करने में लगे हुए थे। अब बात करते हैं कि मैगी जब मार्केट में इतने बुरे दौर से गुजर रही थी, ऐसे दौर से गुजरने के बाद भी मैगी मार्केट में वापस कैसे आ पाई? इसके लिए माना जाता है कि मैगी बहुत अच्छे से कस्टमर रिलेशनशिप मैनेजमेंट कर रही थी। जब मैगी पर बैन लगाया गया था तब भी मैगी अपने कस्टमर के साथ जुड़ी रही। मैगी का एक एक्टिव सोशल मीडिया पेज था जिसके थ्रू वे सोशल मीडिया पोस्ट और एडवर्टीजमेंट के थ्रू अपने ऑडियंस से कनेक्ट रही। अपने फेसबुक पेज पे भी कंपनी बार बार ये पोस्ट कर रही थी कि जल्द ही उनका फेवरेट मैगी कंजम्पशन के लिए सेफ हो जाएगा। विश्वास कर रहे थे और कभी कभी अपने सोशल मीडिया पर पोस्ट करते थे कि वे अपने फेवरेट मैगी नूडल्स को कितना मिस कर रहे थे। उनके जवाब में भी मैगी ने कैंपेन चलाया जिसमें दिखाया गया कि कैसे मैगी भी अपने कंज्यूमर को मिस कर रही थी। मैगी कंपनी ने अपने कस्टमर से कनेक्ट रहने के लिए एक हेल्पलाइन नंबर जारी किया और साथ में ही एक क्वेश्चन आंसर का पेज भी बनाया ताकि कस्टमर के जितने भी क्वेरीज हैं, उनके माइंड में जो भी सवाल है उनका जवाब उन्हें दिया जा सके। अगस्त 2015 में बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट ने इस शर्त पर मैगी पर प्रतिबंध हटा दिया कि फिसाई द्वारा रिपोर्ट की अप्रूवल मिलने के बाद ही मैगी को मार्केट में दोबारा लॉन्च किया जाएगा। और नवंबर 2015 में जब नेस्ले को फिसाई की मंजूरी मिली तो मैगी ने अपने वेलकम बैक कैंपेन को स्टार्ट करना शुरू कर दिया। ये एक इमोशनल कैंपेन था जिसने कंज्यूमर का दिल फिर से जीत लिया। नेस्ले ने मैगी के 15 वेरिएंट लॉन्च किए। उन्होंने ई कॉमर्स जाइंट के साथ मिलकर वेलकम किट बेचना शुरू किया, जिसमें 12 मैगी के पैकेट इकट्ठे सेल हो रहे थे। कंपनी को बहुत अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स मिला। स्नैपडील ने सिर्फ 5 मिनट में 60,000 मैगी के किट सेल कर दिए।
सब ठीक है हमारी मैगी में। मैगी ऐसे लग रहा है मैं भी पास हो गई।
तो आइए हम समझते हैं हमें इस केस स्टडी से क्या सीख मिलती है। कुल मिलाकर हमने ये सीखा कि अंत में ये जो इमोशनल कनेक्शन होता है, जो आपका आपके कस्टमर के साथ है, वो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है। ये इमोशनल कनेक्शन ही था जिसकी वजह से नेगेटिव पब्लिसिटी होने के बावजूद मैगी फिर से मार्केट में सेल होने लगी और मात्र 2 साल में मैगी ने फिर से अपना 60% मार्केट शेयर फिर से कैप्चर कर लिया और दूसरे कॉम्पिटिटर नूडल ब्रांड इस सिचुएशन का कुछ खास फायदा नहीं उठा पाए। आई होप आप लोगों को ये केस स्टडी पसंद आई होगी तो अपने दोस्तों के साथ जरूर शेयर करिएगा। थैंक यू सो मच।
Okay, take a break, 5 minutes.